Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marla. I am a registered holistic nutritionist and homeopathic practitioner, and today we're talking about the lymphatic system. I'm going to share with you some amazing remedies to help move the lymphatic system along, both herbal and homeopathic. But before I do, I want to talk a little bit very quickly about what the lymphatic system does and some cases where you do not want to be stimulating lymphatic drainage. So let's just get into it. To start, the lymphatic system is a very important part of our immune system, and we have lymph nodes throughout our entire body that are connected through lymphatic vessels. The majority of lymph nodes are actually found in our gut, but we do have like a lot in our like ear, neck area, armpits, so they're found throughout the body. And they help to filter the lymph, the fluid that moves through the lymph nodes, and they also help to store and produce immune cells like white blood cells and other, Th2 and Th1 and other immune cells to spread and pass throughout the body. So it's a really important part of our system, and whenever our body needs any immune aid, it's all done through our lymphatic system, through the lymph nodes. So a super important part. Like I said, there are lymphatic vessels, lymphatic nodes, and organs throughout the system, and the lymph nodes will house T and B lymphocytes. So I'm not going to go into too much detail on what these are, but just very briefly, these help produce different components of our immune system needed for different things. So if we need to fight a virus or some kind of infection or heal a wound or tissue, our body's going to produce different T and B cells in order for this to happen. And so that is where these are housed, is within the lymph nodes. Also within our lymphatic organs or lymphoid organs, we have our tonsils. These are really important parts of our immune system to help us fight infection, kind of like the first line of defense in terms of our ear, nose, throat area, our oral cavity. We also have a huge amount, like I said, of lymph nodes found in our gut. So they collectively comprise what we call the mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue, also known as MALT, M-A-L-T. It's the largest group of lymphoid tissues in the body, and so many microbes reside in the gut as normal commensals of our immune system and of our body. And many other microbes that are passing through the gut are prevented from actually taking hold in our gut and creating a home and living there and causing damage to our gut because of this MALT, this lymphatic system in our gut. All right, so I want to move on to some areas where we need lymphatic flow, and then reasons where we might not want to be stimulating it too much. Specifically, when we're looking at our lymphatic system, if we have a healthy body, if we have good vitality, that means things are flowing. When things become stagnant in the body, whether it's our lymphatic system or our blood, like if we have poor circulation or anything else, if we have constipation, any kind of stagnation in the body indicates that we are losing our vitality, our homeostasis, that vital force. So we want to have good flow throughout all of the different parts of our body. We lose good lymphatic flow for many reasons, and it becomes an issue because if we are not having proper lymphatic flow, we cannot detoxify adequately because a lot of old dead cells, old immune cells, things like that are dumped into the lymph and is flown, pushed through the body and then pushed out through the liver and the kidneys. So if we are not having good lymphatic flow, we're not able to detoxify. We're not able to have a strong immune reaction or immune response to viruses, pathogens, cancer cells, infections, things like that. And our body becomes a lot more stagnant. So we're also having poorer circulation. Now, just another topic that's for a different video because it's so big in and of itself, but that is what we call our lymphatic system, which is the part of our lymphatic system that connects to our brain. So we actually have lymphatic fluid that passes through our body, through the blood-brain barrier, and passes into the brain and exchanges fluid within the brain. When we have heavy metals and other toxins that are passing through that brain, we need that lymphatic drainage in order to drain the lymph from the brain and keep everything clean and healthy and flowing through. So if we have poor lymphatic circulation, that is not going to be happening as adequately, and we can actually end up with quite a bit of inflammation. So it's so important to get our lymphatic system moving, as I'm sure you all know. So when are there times that we don't want to be stimulating lymphatic flow? So I know a lot of people who have different chronic health issues. The first thing that they want to be doing is moving their lymphatic system. If they have swollen lymph nodes, or if they have poor circulation, or other symptoms, skin issues, liver congestion, symptoms indicating that there is poor lymphatic flow, the first thing they want to be doing is starting to move it. This can be a problem though, because if you have certain health issues or major health issues, you want to be careful with stimulating that lymphatic system. So here's an explanation and some examples. We'll take cancer as an example. If you have cancer in certain parts of your body, especially within the lymph nodes, you do not want to be circulating that lymphatic system for the most part, because you will be passing cancerous cells from one lymph node to another, or from one organ system to another. And so you can actually cause a spread of cancer. So there's situations where you want to be very careful with stimulating the lymphatic system. Normally we want it to be flowing beautifully, but if we've gotten to a point where there has been so much stagnation in the body, so much buildup and poor detoxification over time that it's triggered, chronic health issues, at that point when we're in such a chronic state, we want to be careful with overstimulating the lymphatic system, or again, we can be moving things through. Another example of this is if somebody has a full-blown autoimmune flare, say it's a lupus flare or a hidradenitis suppurativa or a psoriasis flare, you want to be very careful with stimulating the lymphatic system, because a lot of those T cells, specifically if you're Th2 dominant, so if you have too much of one type of immune cell that's inflammatory, like Th2, like T helper cells, Th2 cells, if you have too much of that and now you're trying to force that lymphatic system to flow, you're going to be flowing all of those immune cells and inflammatory cytokines and things through the rest of the body, creating a spread of the autoimmune disease. So I know it kind of is hard for me to summarize in a very short video. There's so much more immunology that goes into this and to explain it properly. But just for, a very quick explanation, you do want to be really careful with forcing your immune system and your lymphatic system to flow and have that overstimulation if there is a lot of inflammation in the body, because you're just spreading that tissue destructive aspect of the immune system when you're in an autoimmune disease. So I've seen a lot of clients come to me in a full-blown flare, and I ask them, how did you get to this point? And they said that they were on Google realizing that lymphatic flow has a lot to do with skin issues. So they tried to take remedies to stimulate their lymphatic system, and it ended up creating a flare. And that's kind of what's happening there, is you're just forcing more immune cells to pass through different parts of the body that we don't want. So in general, yes, we want our immune system and our lymphatic system to be flowing and healthy and strong. But if you've gotten to a point where you have major chronic health issues, you want to check with a practitioner to make sure it's right for you to start stimulating the lymphatic system. I'm about to share some remedies with you, but before I do, I want to leave you off with times where you want to kind of go a little bit slower, and how we would implement moving your lymphatic system. So typically when we work with clients, it's always, we leave the lymphatic system to later time. We first remove toxins and pathogens through the liver and the kidneys. We do some drainage, we do pathogen cleansing. We then lower inflammation, do immune modulation. And once we feel like inflammation's less, toxicity's less, the body can handle some stimulation, we then start bringing in lymphatic support. If you have a swollen lymph node, there's some things that you can do to try to improve it, but the first thing you don't want to do is just start stimulating the lymphatic drainage, because that might not be appropriate. The lymphatic is also going to dump a lot of toxins out through the lymph into the liver, and if the liver can't handle it, if there's congestion there, then that's not going to work out either. So I hope that makes sense. Some things that you want to look into as well that will trigger poor lymphatic drainage and poor immune support is not enough good quality sleep, a lack of protein and other immune building nutrients through like a poor diet or poor absorption if you have gut issues. Any stress will also impact the lymphatic system. And then of course, if you have like skin issues like eczema or mucous membrane weakness, so asthma, bronchitis, leaky gut, things like that, these stress the immune system and they weaken the body's first level of defense against infection. So it's important to address those skin issues. Food and environmental pollutants, steroid drugs, antibiotics, chlorine if you swim a lot or if you don't drink filtered water, severe gut issues, illnesses, these are all going to impact how your lymphatic system functions, and it's going to weaken your overall immune system. So it's important to address those. Obviously, pathogenic overgrowth as well, persistent viral infections like Epstein-Barr, Lyme disease, a lack of exercise. This is so important. Your lymphatic system is like a pump. So the lymph moves when the muscles are contracting and pumping and when your blood is pumping. So it's important to exercise to get proper lymphatic flow. That's why we say do rebounding, where you can jump up and down on a trampoline and just stimulate quite literally the flow of the lymphatic fluid. Drug use and alcohol and cigarette smoking also really inhibits and causes stagnation within the lymphatic system. So that's important to address as well. Last but not least, like I mentioned earlier, a weakened or stressed liver directly impairs the immune system. So that's also crucial to address. So those are some things that will create a weakened immune system and poor lymphatic flow. There's a lot more, but those are the common ones. Now, as far as supplements go, there's some herbs and homeopathics that I'd recommend. As far as herbs go, and always check with your doctor or practitioner before attempting to do any kind of lymphatic drainage, especially with herbs. But some beautiful ones that do work so well at moving the lymphatic fluid is going to be burdock root, either through tea form or a tincture or a capsule. Astragalus is also phenomenal. What I love about burdock is that it's a liver supporting remedy as well. And astragalus is beautiful because it supports the adrenals and it's a Th2 down regulator. So it's going to support your autoimmunity if it's appropriate for you. Dandelion root, either tincture, capsule, or tea, is beautiful for the lymphatic system. And also cleavers. You can use a cleavers cream if you have swollen lymph nodes or some kind of lymphatic issue topically, or you can take cleavers tincture as well. And then of course, exercise is so important. Like I mentioned, you're going to be moving the blood, moving the muscles, which pumps the lymphatic system. So that's how we can get that to flow. Drinking enough water so your body's not dehydrated, so you have enough fluid to flow through the body is important. And then you want to be making sure that you are doing liver drainage. So it's so important to get the liver to be flowing adequately so that everything can flow out and the body, again, is not becoming congested and stagnant. As far as homeopathics go, the two most common ones I use in my practice, but again, always check with your practitioner as it might not be appropriate for you. The first one is called Chelidonium Plex. It looks like this. It's a homeopathic tincture that also supports the liver, but it does encourage lymphatic drainage. There's also a gemotherapy I don't have on hand to show you, but it's called Sorbus domestica gemotherapy. And this is amazing for moving lymphatic fluid through the body. It's great for congested and swollen lymph nodes, but again, is only meant to be taken under the guidance of a practitioner to make sure you're not stimulating something you don't want to be stimulating. And another remedy is actually from Dr. Rekaweg. It's R60, and it is another homeopathic tincture. It's meant to be combined with other homeopathics, so I wouldn't recommend taking it on its own, but it is a very strong lymphatic drainage remedy. So those are some homeopathics, but at the end of the day, the best thing you can do if you're not sure about supplements and what to do and you want to move your lymphatic system is to exercise, do some rebounding, so skipping, like a jump rope skipping or trampoline bouncing, just very gently. You want to drink a lot of water and do some stuff to support your liver. It could be some dandelion or lemon tea, or you can go even stronger with some herbs and homeopathics, but get that liver detoxifying and flowing to improve circulation and blood flow throughout the body. I hope that you learned something in this video. I hope that this video helps in some way. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. At the end of the day, the lymphatic system is such an important part of our overall health and wellness, and if it's not functioning adequately, it's going to affect every other aspect of our health, especially in the immune system department, which really impacts our viruses, our pathogens, our ability to fight infection, to heal wounds, and so much more, and also to manage inflammation. So it is important to get the lymphatic system flowing beautifully, but make sure you're doing it safely. And if you're not sure how to approach it, the best thing is to work with a practitioner. But I hope again that you did learn something in this video, and definitely learn some situations where you might not want to be stimulating your lymphatic system, at least until some things are under control first. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, if there's any questions, leave them in the comments for me down below, and check the description box for other ways that you can get support from me to answer your questions and potentially work with me. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.